Hello and welcome to this video where we have a look at Magnus Carlsen's statement on the whole cheating matter, the Hans Niemann versus Magnus Carlsen story, and we also have a look at a game from the Reykjavik Open, one of the 100% games as they're called, using engine correlation, which is something that you do in Chessbase, something called Let's Check, and which has been under the limelight after a video made by Yosha Iglesias. Been working on my Spanish. So yeah, that's what we'll do in this video. We'll have a look at the game, and first we're going to look at the statement. So Magnus released a statement on Twitter where he said, "Dear Chess World, at the 2022 Sinquefield Cup I made the unprecedented professional decision, I would say personal decision, but let's continue. Professional decision to withdraw from the tournament after my round 3 game against Hans Niemann. A week later, during the Champions Chess Tour, I resigned against Hans Niemann after playing only one move. I know that my actions have frustrated many in the chess community. I'm frustrated. I want to play chess. I want to continue to play chess at the highest level in the best events. I believe that cheating in chess is a big deal and an existential threat to the game. I also believe that chess organizers and all those who care about the sanctity of the game we love should seriously consider increasing security measures and methods of cheat detection for over-the-board chess." When Hans was invited to last minute, he was strongly against that and he ultimately chose to play. And here we finally have something, the meat on the bones. I believe that Niemann has cheated more and more recently than he has publicly admitted. His over-the-board progress has been unusual, and throughout our game in Sinquefield Cup, I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on the game in critical positions, while outplaying me as black in a way I think only a handful of players can do. This game contributed to changing my perspective. Still, he's not providing any evidence, and this in and of itself, this paragraph, seems to be based more on a feeling. He had the feeling he wasn't focused and stuff like that. I mean, I think we're going to need more. Because, Magnus Carlsen can at times look uninterested. There are even, pictures of him sleeping during a game. But that's a different story. We must do something about cheating, and for my part, going forward, I don't want to play against people that have cheated repeatedly in the past, because I don't know what they are capable of doing in the future. So this is significant. But still, I've had my doubts, because why hasn't this energy been used before? Because both Magnus and others have played against people that cheated in the past, which is known. Again, I'm not going to name names, but there were people that cheated on ICC back in the days, in the Dos Hermanas tournaments. This is well known. But some of these people have been, over 2,700, and there wasn't the same energy for them. Let's just say that. But anyway, I agree though, personally, that I think we all chess purists, we want cheating eliminated from this game, as much as is possible. And as somebody that works with tournament organization in the Reykjavik Open a lot, it's something that we don't want to see, and then we pride ourselves that we don't think anything has been going on in our tournaments, hopefully. And finally, and let's move on to the last paragraph of Magnus' statement. There is more that I would like to say, because he hasn't provided any proof, but just his personal opinion. Unfortunately, at this time, I am limited in what I can say without explicit permission from Niemann to speak openly. This seems to imply some kind of threat of legal action. I don't know. But does Magnus have something? Let's finish the paragraph. So far I have only been been able to speak with my actions, and those actions have stated clearly that I am not willing to play chess with Niemann. I hope that the truth on this matter comes out, whatever it may be. So, if he is waiting for permission from Niemann to speak about something, if Niemann has nothing to hide, then he should grant that permission. So I think the next move is in Niemann's court. Although, yeah, innocent until proven guilty, does Magnus have something? That's a big question. It seems to be he's implying that he has something that he wants to get off his chest, but can't. So, the saga continues. So, yeah, mixed feelings about this statement. Again, I guess history will judge what went down here, but hopefully this will bring some good to our game, and we will have less cheating in the future with more severe consequences for people that have cheated. I think that's a good start. But having read that statement and then given my brief thoughts, I also wanted to have a look at the game, and I was thinking about analyzing some of these games, these so-called 100% games that Niemann has had, and this refers to engine correlation, something that you can get in Chessbase analysis that are called let's check this, or let's check this. And most of Niemann's games have been analyzed using this method, and this screenshot here is from a Google sheet compiled by Gambitman on Twitter, where Hans indeed has several of these 100% games. And this basically means that all of the moves in the games correlate to some engine in the position. It could be Stockfish 15, it could be Houdini, it could be Rybka, it could be some other engine, but all of the moves are registering as a top move for some engine, and it could be a lot of engines. And we're going to look at one of those, which is from the Reykjavik Open. You can see the yellow, the line with the yellow. In that tournament he performed 25.82, played under his standard definitely, but many games over 70%, which is good. One game 93%, which is very good, and one of these 100% games. And this 100% is considered significant because people are not finding a lot of examples of these 100% games. Somebody was able to produce a Magnus game pretty quickly, but Nakamura and others have been trying to find their own games. Some other youngsters like Arjun, Ergaisi and others, they've been finding maybe one or two games. So people are debating if this is significant, and it might be. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but I want to have a look at this game because this was one of the games that got this 100% score, and it is from the Reykjavik Open. And he was playing my friend, Grandmaster Hjorvar Gretarsson from Iceland. Hans Niemann had the white pieces, and Hans opened with pawn to e4. Now I did have a short chat with Hjorvar and asked about this game. If he found something suspicious during the game or after it, or even now, don't know what's going on. And I don't know what I can reveal, but there was no insinuation. He didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. Hans played really fast in the game, and perhaps he looked like Magnus said, not tense or interested in the game because he was very tired, like he had the night out. This game was played in the morning. Could be that he's not a morning person, but he played the opening really fast and pinpointed to Hjorvar after the game, where he went wrong in the opening. So it looks like the opening was well prepared by Niemann. We had the Sicilian, Niemann with white, and e6. And this could not have come as a surprise to Niemann. I know Hjorvar well, and his main opening against e4 has always been the Sicilian, and he's played the Taimanov and the Najdorf, So most likely Hans was well prepared for both, and well, that was the case obviously. He played d4, takes, open Sicilian. We have the Taimanov, bishop e2. Now Hjorvar plays a6, and Niemann takes on c6. B takes c6, and well, all these moves Niemann is playing more or less immediately. Hjorvar started thinking pretty early on. He took 5 minutes here to think about the recapture. Took 5 minutes to play d5, and this maneuver here, queen d3 to g3, has become rather topical in the Sicilian in many lines, and it's more of a recent trend, probably a computer trend, because like theoretically people have considered, you know, that the end games, black wants to reach the end game in many Sicilians because he has an extra an extra pawn in the center, 2 against 1 in this case. But there are other more concrete features that seem to tip the balance to white. So the queen trade was made. Actually, it's difficult to suggest where you should put the queen. You can't move the bishop because of the pawn on g7. It's hard to find a good square for the queen, like I said. And if you do, the queen will stand very well on g3 because the development of the bishop on f8 will be difficult to achieve because of the pressure here. And again, if the queen moves, then e5 could come at some stage, and then you have a problem with the knight. So a lot of things that are not working for black, so probably trading is good here. Knight f6 was played, I believe still the most common move, and again very quickly played here by Hans. He played g4. This has been seen before. Bishop to b4, bishop d2, and given the speed of Niemann's play, Hjorvar was using a lot of time here, and he spent 40 minutes on castling. And here comes the novelty, and played rather quickly. It was e5. At a very low depth, e5 was a top move, but when I have been running this position, e5 is not among the top candidates. It might be on a different engine, which would otherwise it would not get the 100% score. But definitely not. It's not on the radar of Stockfish 15. At least not at, well, still a relatively low depth. But I'm seeing that f3 is a top move at depth 40 for Stockfish 15, at depth 39 for Stockfish 14.1, and f3 is also the move for a deep Fritz 14. So some other engine must be showing e5 as a top move for this to get 100%. But okay, the game continues. The knight doesn't have a lot of options. Hjorvar put it on d7, f4, and f6. So here after 14 moves, the time situation is 1 hour and 29 minutes for Hans and 36 minutes for Hjorvar. So Hjorvar obviously feeling under pressure here, and well, just looking at the position, and this is something that if you analyze this line, you'll find that after the queen trade, white is eyeing possibilities of using the h-file. He's going to be really quick to castle, and there's going to be danger on the h-file. So black, having castled, needs to figure out how to prevent that, and f6 is one of the moves to try that. h6 looks dangerous because then we can just castle, double on the h-file, and play g5 at some stage. That looks very scary. So f6 is the move chosen. But I'm trying to give the time, the time situation, just to give it context, because for most of the game Hans is using almost no time. And well, I'll probably gather my thoughts on that when we finish the game. So f6, Niemann took, knight takes f6. Again, the top move, g5, but it's a very logical move. You want to kick the knight. Like I said, it doesn't have a great square like before. It's the second time actually that we played g5 to kick the knight. No, sorry, e5 was the earlier move, sorry. Second time we kick the knight. But it's very logical because now we're ready to put the bishop on d3, take h7, use one rook and probably two rooks after we castle on the queen side, which is what Niemann did. It's a tough move, but rook h4 is also on the radar. Could be played there. And, well, actually rook h4 is a tough move right now. But the engines, Stockfish 15, Fritz 13, Stockfish 15, they have castles queenside or rook h4 as a tough move. But still, I think we're following a very logical trajectory. Well, that was a tough word. Still, we're following a logical trajectory after the opening. Nothing out of the ordinary. If you prepared this, then I think the plans are pretty clear. And e5 was played here. I did find it surprising that only 1.5 minutes was spent on the move rook to h4. But then again, White wants to go double on the h-file, and probably he needs to protect the pawn on f4 as well. So if you want to double on the h-file, where can you put the rook? If you put it on h5, it's going to get hit by g6 at some point. We can lose the tempo. If we're on h3, we're in the line of fire of the bishop. That's probably not what we want. So the options are h4 or h2. And on h4, it has more horizontal, possibilities, like f takes e5, and we're hitting the bishop. So rook h4 is actually the more logical move. On h2, doesn't have any opportunities to be flexible. Okay, bishop e7, getting the bishop out of the line of fire, and now bishop d3. And this is the only time where Niemann spent some time calculating in this game. Something beyond 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. All the other moves are played very, very quickly. So bishop d3, 23 minutes. From a human perspective, it's logical because there's stuff to calculate here. In the game, Hjorvar played h6, which is probably the best move. But when you play bishop d3, you have to account for the move e4. And you have to see that you can take on e4. Reminds me a little bit of Wesley So against an Armenian guy at the, I think it was the Olympiad. It's probably Frank McCoolmian. We had this knight takes e4 stuff. And, well, black falls apart because of the bishop landing on c4. King probably has to go to h8. If you give up material, there's a lot of cool lines. You can take on h7. The point being that you're just getting mated on the h-file, basically. We try to make luft with g6, but bishop c3, beautiful stuff, and black has to give up basically all his material to avoid getting mated. You can put a piece on f6, I will take twice, then the bishop can interpose, but then I give check on h1, I win the bishop. White actually ends up a piece. The other option, do some cool lines, would be g6. And this line is pretty savage as well. King h8, rook h1, h6, rook takes h4. I just thought it was a cool line. I mean, black has to find some good moves, and knight c5 would not be one of them on account of rook takes h6, and we are actually mating a very nice mate. Just wanted to show this, cool line. Really, it doesn't really have much to do with the game, but it might be something that entered the radar of Hans calculating here, because he had to account for e4 here. Okay, even if e4 wasn't played, h6 is something you had to account for as well, because now the g-pawn is pinned. And here he didn't spend much time, and he played the move rook to h2. And knight c5 was played by Hjorvar. He wants to eliminate the d3 bishop. Again here, when you played bishop d3, you had to account for h takes g5. And in fact, as you can probably see, there's only one move that makes sense of all of this. And if you were searching for something suspicious, I don't know, maybe this is it, you'd have to find this move, but he did calculate for 23 minutes, so okay, now we're threatening to put the rook on h1, and that's pretty much devastation in the station. It's going to be checkmate on the h-file. So you have to make luft with rook f6. Sorry, after bishop g6 you have to play rook f6. But then we give this check, king moves, and we take on g5. Material balance is restored. I mean, black can give up material with rook f4, but the engine gives this as pretty much game over. But then again, modern engines like Stockfish, well, especially Stockfish 15, is giving very high values in positions that, well, to humans maybe don't look like completely clear. I mean, material is equal, there's no immediate threat. Once the knight lands on f8, it's hard to see where the knockout blow is coming from, but obviously white is better. So did Hans manage to, correctly evaluate this? I don't know. Fortunately for him, he didn't have to after knight c5, and he took an h6, which I think is the obvious move. You don't have a good square for your bishop. Maybe bishop g6, yeah. But okay, he took an h6. Yeah, maybe this is something to think about. Maybe bishop g6 was the move. But then there's taken on f4 and stuff. So this seems to lead by force to, well, the opening of the h file, more or less. We took on f4 and h takes g7. So looking at this, material is equal, and black has the bishop pair. So black is very close to being okay here, but he's just missing that one or two moves to fix the situation. So the rook's coming in is a problem. We'd love to play bishop f5 here to stop rook h7, but that would mean we lose this pawn. Also, the knight could be incoming, like knight e2 takes f4, etc. So here I tried bishop g5. And we're on move 24. From move 20 until the end of the game, Hans had 1 hour and 29 minutes on the clock. Well, maybe not 129. No, sorry. He had 59 minutes. 59 minutes, because he thought for 23 at one stage. He had 59 minutes and 25 seconds. My apologies. And he kept that time until the end, which means that from here on out until the end of the game, he only spent 30 seconds on every move. So continuing, going back to the position we currently had, e takes f4, h takes, king takes, rook d to h1, bishop g5, rook h7 check. So he's spending 30 moves on average on each move. Rook c7, attacking c6. We'd love to play rook f6 here to protect the pawn, but it looks dangerous, and here I went with bishop e6. Perhaps bishop f5 gave him more of a fighting chance. So he played this move. Protecting the pawn looks like the move we want to play. But rook h8 is scary, although the immediate win isn't apparent to the human eye. Bishop b7 keeps the balance. We'd have to go back, but there's no mate in sight. And if this is working for white, he has to find some great moves like knight e2. And I tried some moves like bishop g4. Then we give this check, and knight d4 is annoying, and this is clearly winning. Bishop c3 comes next, and there's a problem. If you make a blank move like a5, still this check, knight d4, bishop e1, and the maiden is being threatened here. White is winning, but this is all really difficult to see. So it's a little bit odd how fast maybe white is playing here and how everything is working out. But bishop e6, now white is up a pawn, we have to defend it. Rook e1, attacking the bishop, we have a trade. And knight e2, he wants to take the pawn on f4 with the knight. Still playing really fast. Bishop h4, knight takes f4 check. Rook f1. King g4. And, well, okay, this stops the king coming in, and you have rook f4 coming. But as you can see, very accurate, of course. King h5, rook a4, making not luft, but making way for the knight to come to f4. And we have these attacks here, and we keep the attack on the bishop. Black had seen enough here. Well, bishop h7, knight f4, actually, he had seen enough. So I don't know, a very good game, obviously, by Hans. I think, yeah, especially the opening part, nothing out of the ordinary. He did, you know, after the game, you know, tell Hjorvar all about the opening and you know, where he went wrong, etc. And he was obviously very well prepared. But okay, the later part of the game was also very accurate. So I don't know. Again, I'm just, you know, trying to provide you know, data for an analysis of what everybody's talking about. But the one thing I said that I'd gather my thoughts, and basically he only calculated one move, this bishop d3 move, which makes sense because there was a lot of stuff to calculate. You know, knight takes e4 with the sacrifice, etc. And also when there was this h takes g5 stuff later in that variation. So that's where he calculated. All the other moves, he's playing super fast. And like I said, after rook h2, from here until the end of the game, move 37, so 70 moves, 30 seconds on average. So, and just because you're speculating, throwing things out, if he is cheating, I mean, it must be a very sophisticated method if he can spend 30 seconds on each move and still play the best move. Because he doesn't know what his opponent will play, so unless, you know, he has an accomplice that's somehow getting information to him and telling him, okay, if he goes here, you can go there. If he goes here, you can go there. Seems highly unlikely. And if he's, you know, getting data after the opponent's move is made, and he's only spending 30 seconds on the move, he must have some very fast mechanism to do that. And I don't know, do you use some classes, you know, some Google classes, you know, with some Mission Impossible classes with calculation. I don't know, it seems awfully far-fetched that you can cheat in such a way. And if he was cheating, then I don't know, it must have been very sophisticated, and Hans should be working with NASA or something, I don't know. And the other thing that strikes me as odd, if you maybe have a look at this stuff from the Reykjavik Open, he didn't have the greatest of tournaments. He did not have a podium finish. Lost against the Icelandic Grandmaster Hjorvar. He had a draw against another Icelandic Grandmaster. And tournament rating performance 2582. So if he was cheating in this game where he got 100% score, why not use it in basically all the games and win the tournament? Unless it's part of an elaborate strategy to somehow kind of level things out and not use all your trumps all the time. So maybe have one mediocre tournament so that you're not like a sitting duck. So you have one great tournament and a mediocre tournament. I don't know, that could be a logical explanation, but still all of this seems very far-fetched to me. And I think, yeah, we're still awaiting further developments because we don't have kind of a conclusion in this matter. You can't really punish Hans because there's no evidence, there's no he hasn't admitted to anything, so there's only the accusations. And in just 2 weeks they're going to play the US Championship, and Hans Niemann is among the participants. So what will happen there? The story continues, and I guess we'll stay tuned. So until next time, see you, bye bye.